Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the full moon that is taking place in Pisces at the very last degrees of Pisces. So this is my intuitive interpretation of the astrology that is taking place at this time for the collective. So this is a collective read, it's not an individual or personal read, it's for the whole collective at this time and the energies that are kind of playing out mostly at this time in our lives. So I will start the reading off with the Moonology cards, which I often forget to do because I kind of have them tucked away down here. So the first card, of course, is the full moon energy itself, which is saying surrender to the divine, and the Piscean energy itself is all about the divine, the 12th house energy. It's the end of the zodiac energy. And the full moon energy is also about culmination. It's about something coming to a completion, a fruition, if you like. So we have the Pisces full moon energy here as well, which is saying balance spirituality and practicality, because of course Pisces is opposite Virgo, which is that very practical energy, and the Pisces energy itself is that very spiritual realm. So it's kind of bringing the spiritual down into the physical in many ways to kind of manifest it in the practical 3D realm. And then we have the mutable moon energy, which is the Piscean energy, 12th house energy. Again, nothing is yet set in stone, which we've had this energy last time as well with the Virgo new moon. That's also mutable energy, and so things are still in fluctuation. Nothing has been completely decided, so it's kind of saying, you know, stay open to things that might change, that you might think that things are going to go one way and then they may need to kind of be rethought or give you a second chance to rethink something. So those are the energies that we're dealing with. And my reading I am going to call today the full moon in Pisces. Free will is universal law. And I hope again that that becomes more apparent as I go through the actual reading itself. So the divine masculine sun energy opposes the divine feminine moon energy during the time of the full moon. And this full moon is taking place on the 21st of September. For other parts of the world, it's taken place on the 20th. But here in the UK, it's happening at 0:54 hours. Again, it will be different in other parts of the world. And it's occurring at the 28th degree and 13 minutes in the mutable, changeable sign of the watery realm of Pisces and the 12th house energy. As it is so close to the end of the sign of the fishes, this full moon is indicating the closure of a major cycle. It is also going to cross over into the sign of Aries, the actual energy itself, because it's so close to the end of Pisces. The moon's energy is going to cross over into the sign of Aries. So if you have any planets or points in the 25 degrees to 29 degrees 59 minutes of Pisces, or the 0 to 03 degrees of Aries, this powerfully mysterious moon is going to have a profound effect on you. The same applies for anyone with anything at the same degrees of Virgo and Libra, and to a lesser extent for the other two mutable signs of Sagittarius and Gemini. So check out where these degrees of Pisces and Virgo lie for you, particularly that 28 degree point. And if you don't know where that is, there will be a free natal link in the description box down below. It's always there. So if you want to go and check out your own natal chart to find out how it's going to affect you, which house it's going to fall in for you personally, because that's where this energy will show itself, both individually, well, show itself individually, but for the collective it's going to be taking place in the 12th house of Pisces, but also reflected in the 6th house of Virgo, which is where we have the sun. So the moon is being lit up and put in the spotlight by the sun, who's going to be leaving the sign of Virgo on the 22nd, and is going to cross over the axis Mundi, or the world axis, into the sign of Libra. In the northern hemisphere, this is also the autumn equinox and a time of a new season. The full moon in Pisces is making 3 intense and dynamic connections, excluding the sun. She is conjunct Neptune at 21 degrees 36 minutes, having just passed over the mystical, dreamy, creative planet, who in her home sign of the 12th house is really emphasizing that energy of the unknown, the unseen, the deep subconscious realm. And it's kind of very strong energy at this time, and it's going to get even stronger, and it has been around for quite some time, this kind of energy of not really, I suppose, the mutable energy in many ways, but it's also, it feels a lot stronger in the sense of not really knowing exactly what's happening in the world or with ourselves, a possible lack of direction, or just feeling kind of hazy, foggy kind of energy. So the moon is a very similar energy, and this is kind of what's adding to this Neptunian kind of strange, weird, kind of out there, almost like out of body experience at times kind of energy. As the moon also deals with that subconscious realm, and the subconscious levels of our psyche. So as she moves closer to her conjunction with Neptune, which is going to be exact at 21 degrees 37 minutes, roughly 12 hours before the full moon, we may well feel these strong feelings of disorientation, like we are being sucked into an emotional deep void, like an emptiness. It's like I'm wanting to merge. That's the thing about Pisces. It's kind of like that merging. If you think of Pisces as being like a like an ocean where everything is kind of joined together, or if another great word for Neptune energy is nebulous. It's kind of like mysterious, and you can't really put your finger on it. So yeah, being sucked into this kind of emotional deep void of emptiness, or becoming one with the divine creative source, may also be a kind of real pull for some as well. The Piscean 12th house is the place of surrendering the self, the ego, to a higher dream or vision. This energy is asking us to really let go and release what we mentally believe to be real. Neptune in the 12th house also rules like hallucinatory things and drugs and magic, the occult, the mysterious, the unknown, all that kind of energy. So we're being asked to allow ourselves to trust the unfolding of what is coming into being and what is yet to be revealed from behind the veil. Because it is that kind of behind the veil energy as well, Neptune. It's kind of like you can't see it, you can almost sense, it's more of a sensing energy. You can sense it, but you may not know how or why or what it means, but you can sense something. So the lower vibrational energy of Neptune is that of confusion of not being able to make sense of what is right in front of us, of illusion, deception, and feeling like a victim. Neptune also governs over the realm of drugs, sorrow, and suffering. It is known as the house of hidden things. It is also where we will find our flaws if we go looking. These are the things we ourselves may be oblivious to, but others can see clearly, but which we need to accept as parts of ourselves first, so we can give compassion, forgiveness, and healing to ourselves in order to be able to give it to others, which is more that Virgo energy as well. Like the Pisces energy is kind of almost like saying, like, you know, you need to find it within yourself, and then once you find it within yourself, you can, in that sixth house energy, which is service to others, you can then you know, you have a level of understanding for others, because you are empathizing from a place of knowing it and feeling it. This is particularly being shown to us while the sun is still shining its light from the sixth house of service to others. Both the moon and Neptune are also sextile to Pluto retrograde at 24 degrees 22 minutes, which is adding another level of almost emotional obsession when it comes to those things Pluto represents for us. Pluto is a maleficent planet. It always works in adversity. And one of those things Pluto governs, being lord of the underworld, is death itself, or the concept of death as being a final ending. The spectre of death is looming large at this time, with this full moon and the sun bringing it out of the darkness and putting it very strongly into our awareness through an intense and powerful trine energy. Before the sun began his trine, however, Mars started to connect with the planet of power and final endings back in August on the 27th, as he reached 18 degrees 10 minutes. This has been ongoing up until recently, when Mars ended his trine on the 16th of September, and on the same day he started to trine Saturn instead, the other maleficent planet. This trine will end on the 5th of October. The Sun, who is still following behind Mars, is conjunct Mars within a 5-degree orb. So there's still a 5-degree orb of difference between Mars and the Sun, but they are conjunct, which means that if you think of the fire element there, because Mars rules Aries, Mars is a fire sign. The Sun rules Leo. Leo is a fire sign. So there's a lot of fiery, dynamic, action orientated energy that is about to soon come together, as well as the Sun will cross over the top of Mars as well, but that's slightly later on. But as they get closer and closer, this is going to become more and more intense. It's almost like you can't run and you can't hide from this energy. So he has also started to trine Pluto. The Sun has started to trine Pluto, and that happened on the 7th of September as well. So it's really kind of bringing that that Plutonian energy into the light. Like we're saying, you can't run, you can't hide. Like Pluto is the underworld. It wants to kind of keep things hidden. It wants to, even though it brings things up from underneath into the light, up to the surface. Pluto itself is kind of a quite kind of dark energy, really, because it kind of deals with things like birth, death, rebirth, those things that go on like in the dark that you can't see necessarily. So and particularly at this time, I feel that the transformational energy of Pluto, but also the again, if you think of a caterpillar that transforms in a cocoon into a beautiful butterfly, which you see that actually when the butterfly comes out, but the process that happens inside, it's kind of like an unknown, secretive, hidden world of the caterpillar. And it's almost a similar kind of thing that's happening at this time, but the death element in particular, it's like, you know, the spectre of that is very, very strong at this time in the world in general, because of this Pluto energy and because it's being highlighted by both Sun and Mars. And we are going to hear a lot more about this energy, a lot more. We're going to hear a lot more about death in general, in fact, over these coming months. So, and of course, death is kind of like the last taboo subject as well. It's something that we still haven't really come to terms with for most of us. Kind of, it's a confusing, it is a very obviously distressing time when we lose somebody who we love. And it's kind of, it is, again, it's that Val energy, because it's kind of like, you know, physically, they're no longer there. Physically, the actual physical part of that person is no longer with us. But that doesn't mean that their soul isn't still around, or their soul, their spirit, whatever you prefer to call it, isn't still around, isn't still connecting with us. But death for many people is like a finality. It's like the final, like end of the line, shall we say. It's how many people still view it. So it's one of those very kind of, yeah, like the last taboo. So this trine with Pluto, which starts on the 7th of September, is going to continue through until the 26th of September. And on the 20th of September, the Sun also started to trine with Saturn. And he will continue to do so right up until the 9th of October. So this is really heavy individual and collective karmic energy we are dealing with here. With both Mars, the fiery, determined, strong, masculine side of our nature, that started to trine with Pluto during the time the god of war was in the 6th house of service, health and healing, which also includes hospitals, and has turned our bastions of health into a battlefield of controlled medical tyranny, which is only being compounded by the opposition with Neptune that we have been experiencing since the new moon in Virgo. So Pluto, and I also left a link to the new moon in Virgo right up as well for anybody who's interested. So Pluto in Capricorn is working through and dissembling everything that applies to the establishment systems, the world of corporations and big business. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and is therefore responsible for the restricted and blocked situations we find ourselves living through. Saturn is the hierarchy and patriarchal limitator, even when it comes to the concept of time itself, as he, the father of time, also known as Cronus, reigns over our physical domain. Saturn is the last planet we can see with the naked eye, which is also why Saturn is known as the Lord of Karma, or action. Pluto is also helping to break down the old ideas, constructs and structures that we have reached the end of the road with. So with the Sun opposing retrograde Neptune until the 23rd of September, The deception, lies and corruption that had been hidden behind the veil of secrecy and clandestine behaviours are all going to be exposed, especially within the world of health and medicine. Those corporations that have long been manipulating and creating a pseudo-medical system will sooner or later find themselves under scrutiny, which is another Virgo trait of leaving no stone unturned and filing through everything with a fine-tooth comb. So it's almost like this is the last degrees of both Pisces and Virgo. Any last degree of any sign is a harsh, hard degree, because the planet is having to leave that sign and move into another. So it really highlights that energy. And although it is only the 28 degrees, as like very soon the sun and the moon especially will move on very quickly, but the sun will be moving on the 22nd, which is when he moves into Libra for the autumn equinox energy as well. So it's almost like the final kind of like with Pisces at 28 degrees and the moon at 28 degrees in Pisces and the sun at 28 degrees in Virgo, because that is the very last 2 degrees of the zodiac itself. It's almost like a final kind of like crescendo of energy, if you like, where things are really going to kind of be kind of like explosive and eruptive and kind of very much in our face when it comes to the medical system in particular, because that is the energy of Virgo, which is where the sun is moving out of as well. And the sun, of course, is highlighting that Piscean moon energy. So another very powerful level of what is taking place around us in the 3D world and what we can see happening around us is once again the extremely intense connections with Black Moon Lilith, who is now at 7 degrees 9 minutes, but still conjunct the North Node at 4 degrees and 55 minutes or 5 degrees in Gemini, while also continuing to oppose the South Node in Sagittarius, those karmic destination points of what we need to let go of, the South Node, and where we're moving towards the North Node energy. So this connection in Gemini is also trine both the Sun at the later degrees of Virgo and Mars, who is at 3 degrees 52 minutes or 4 degrees in Libra. They both also trine Saturn at 7 degrees 12 minutes. So we have the North Node and Black Moon Lilith trining the Sun, because the Sun's about to move over into the Libra energy, although it's still in Virgo, because it's got such a huge orb of 10 degrees, it's already kind of, its energy is already moving into that Libra sign, if you like. So it's already beginning to trine the energy of Black Moon Lilith and the North Node as well. And at the same time, we also have Mars, who's actually in the air sign of Libra, trining over to Black Moon Lilith as well. And all of that energy is trine to Saturn at the same time. Saturn in Aquarius at 7 degrees as well. And the interesting thing about this in particular is that there is only 1 minute difference between Saturn and Black Moon Lilith at this time. I think it's only 1 minute. Let me just check this. So So this is actually creating a grand air trine as well, which is only going to get more powerful as the Sun moves into Libra and closer to the same degrees as Saturn and Black Moon Lilith. Saturn and Black Moon Lilith are only 0.03 minutes away from an exact conjunction at 7 degrees 11 minutes, which, as they are both so slow moving, will take place 9 hours after the full moon. As this happens, the grand air trine will also be creating yet another one of those karmic kite-fated destiny energies with the moon at 3 degrees in Aries. So by that time the moon will have moved on. She'll be at 3 degrees in Aries, and the moon is going to be the focus point of that kite energy, which also means that it's going to be felt by the collective very strongly. We're going to pick up on that as an emotional energy. And in Aries, it's going to want us to take action, be dynamic, be powerful, courageous. And of course, we will then have the Sun, which is following on into Libra, and the Sun will also then activate that point as well. So that's going to become quite an important point, that 0.3 degrees in Aries. So the moon is sextile to Saturn in Aquarius and Black Moon Lilith, which is why we get this kite energy, because she's sextile to Black Moon Lilith on one side and Saturn on the other. So again, as I was saying, this is an energy that's going to affect the collective, and Mars is still opposing the moon, so it's going to be a very strong, dynamic, determined, action-oriented energy, and the spark to set something ablaze amongst the mass conscious awareness. So it's like a trigger point in a way. It's like something is going to kind of trigger this energy that is going to kind of grow very quickly. I feel it's going to kind of take on a life of its own in many ways. So a grand trine in air is all about the communication, and with the moon being the exit point of this powerful pattern of the added kite energy, it is all about the voice of we the people. Another interesting aspect to this is going back to the 15th of September, we find Mars at 29 degrees 59 minutes of Virgo, literally the hardest point of any sign, known as the anaretic degree, the degree of fate or the critical degree. Here Mars was also just about to cross over the cardinal point of the axis mundi, again the world axis, and bring everything onto the world stage. So Mars has already done that on the 15th of September. Mars crossed over that axis mundi point, and the Sun is going to follow suit on the 22nd. Really kind of emphasizing that point where we are going to see things suddenly play out on the world stage here. And again, as I was saying, it's kind of like, it feels to me like an energy if you can't hide. So, so Mars has kind of brought everything out into the open in some way. We witness the school children, which is Gemini. Gemini rules childhood and schooling, early education, and the kind of unnecessary force that is being put behind children being pushed into taking this unnecessary and dangerous medical procedure through the establishment position, that they can even make up their own minds on this without parental consent, which is kind of like a Saturn kind of energy in a way. Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn wants everybody in some way to kind of grow up and to kind of stop looking to others for answers, or it's like, you know, go within, look to yourself. But when it comes to pushing that idea on children, the whole idea of children having parents is so that parents are responsible for their children's decisions up to a certain age. And there's even laws that say this as well. So these laws that have been there for a long, long time are now trying to be kind of bypassed as well. So Saturn trine Black Moon Lilith has and will continue to stir up this hornet nest as Pandora's box continues to open and spews forth the darkness and sickness and suffering of the world that we will have to face as a collective and have on the whole refused to acknowledge, particularly when it comes to the children who have no voice. And again, it's kind of Black Moon Lilith is that raw energy. She is that righteous rage energy, and when certain things that are going to come out about certain situations that have been going on for a very long time in the world, and I'm trying to be very careful here because I don't want to kind of get any strikes on my channel. I don't want to say things that are going to upset the world of YouTube, because that happens all the time very easily, and my videos, believe you me, are well checked. So I am aware of how careful I have to be here. But there are things that are going to come out, and I've been saying this for a long time. If you go back and look at any of my other videos or my writings, I have been saying for a long time that this is coming, and it is coming. And it's coming a lot sooner now rather than later. So ironically, the children are now being given a voice. But it's a voice that they don't have the capacity, like the mental capacity, if you like, to really be able to know the situation that they're kind of being thrust into. But it fits a certain agenda to do so. And Saturn, as I was saying, is demanding that we as adults as well grow up, take responsibility for our actions as well as our non-actions, as there are always consequences for both. And although this is an easy-going trine energy with this this grand air trine that we are dealing with here, the planets and the points involved are not easy energies. Mars is the god of war. It can be angry, eruptive, forceful, aggressive, strong, dominant, masculine energy, which if channeled in a healthy and productive way will bring great results. Mars also, however, governs things like the police force and the military, both of which can be all of the above in a very destructive, lower vibrational tone. Mars at the time of the full moon in Pisces has entered Libra, now creating an even stronger and more intense connection in this grand air trine to both Black Moon Lilith and Saturn. Mars is also conjunct Mach-E at 7 degrees 8 minutes, just 1 degree, or sorry, just 1 minute away from an exact conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, as well as Saturn at 7 degrees 12, making this an extremely intense and powerful grand air trine. And as I was saying, I've long been talking about the hidden, dark, secretive, sordid, abusive behaviours of our established leaders and the minions that surround them to do their bidding. The undoing of them all will be this ongoing Black Moon Lilith of the deep, unseen, mysterious, hidden or hiding in the shadows, the secret societies and everything they represent, being fully exposed to the general population. Mach-E in Libra will also be bringing into the mix a sense of the need for harmony, justice, balance and fairness in order for this new paradigm that is coming into being from the depth of the raw creator God of humanity. Sorry, missed something there. From the depth of all this chaos, sorry. So, and it is chaotic, and it's going to get more chaotic. So just be aware of that as well, that on the 3D level, things are going to become even more chaotic than they already are. So very interestingly, both the masculine sun and the feminine moon are also connecting with the raw creator god of humanity, which is how the Polynesians of Easter Island viewed this energy. So this is Makemake again, who I have spoken about previously as well. So in the sign of the scales, it represents the duality of both our inner relationship with ourself and our outer relationship with our partner. So Makemake is also said to be the higher vibrational energy of Saturn, and at this time is helping Saturn to accept the truth of universal laws, not the man-made ones of which Saturn wants to impose on us. And it's actually Saturn who kind of is responsible for these man-made rules as well, because Saturn also rules laws, the courts, judges, all of that black energy, that dark energy, which is why they all wear these black robes as well, because Saturn is the planet colour black. So literally Makemake is kind of like the natural order of things, the universal laws, and at this time they are really kind of coming much more into their own. People are pushing the idea of common law and universal law, and the fact that we are all human beings, and that nobody really has any more rights than anybody else. Again, that is a universal law. And Makemake, I don't think he's going to leave Libra until 2046, I think it is. So he's still got quite a while to work his way through that Libra energy of balance and harmony and justice and fairness, and kind of really bringing that out into this new paradigm, this new world that is being created at this time, so that we're no longer governed by these man-made rules, that we go back to what was originally the natural rule of law. So Saturn, the highest of these universal laws that Saturn is trying to kind of come to terms with in many ways, is that of love, and that nothing is separate. This is a difficult lesson for Saturn to learn in Aquarius, the sign of humanity, the individual within the collective. We are seeing and experiencing this difficulty through the concept of the hive mind, which I've been talking about for a while now as well, at this time, and how we must all be assimilated into one thinking controlled source. The lower vibration of Saturn does not want diversity. It wants to limit through the idea of sameness, which is why we are all being forced into this medical procedure regardless of the consequences. So going back to the time of the new moon in Virgo, it was Mercury that was in this position, not Mars, creating this grand air trine. Now Mars has taken his place, conjunct Makemake, as is the Sun. Here we will see an even bigger uprise in the idea of free will, sovereignty, universal laws versus man-made rules, spurred on by the realization that there is a huge discrepancy, massive injustice and lack of equality when it comes to certain actions from those telling us how we should behave. And I will just add the word hypocrisy in there as well. Oh, no, it's actually there. Okay. So this will catch and spread like wildfire across the globe as the more inequality and hypocrisy is shown to us, the more we will see through the charade. as the veil becomes even thinner and the truth of the degradations involved become exposed. To help with this exposure is the planet of communication itself and the ruler of both Gemini and Virgo, Mercury. It's also at 23 degrees 33 minutes in Libra, in a direct trine with Jupiter at 23 degrees 32 minutes. So again, literally 1 minute off of the exact conjunction that just took place at midnight before the full moon. Mercury is also slowing right down in the sky, getting ready to station retrograde at 25 degrees 28 minutes, which he will be doing on the 27th of September. This is adding extra emphasis to all the things that Mercury represents, especially when it comes to the art of communication, which is being expanded and magnified by the planet of truth, justice, good fortune, optimism, success, and pushing beyond the boundaries of the knowledge we have learnt to date. Jupiter also promises us great gifts, abundance and prosperity. At this time, we could experience voices coming out of the wilderness to bring us their gift of wisdom and knowledge, to help us expand on the lay of the land, to give us hope and help us see a bigger picture. So more people are going to come forward, more people are going to start speaking the truth, telling the truth, out of the wilderness, out of the kind of like the lone voices in the wilderness. More is going to get picked up more and more around the world, around the globe, because of this grand air trine as well. It's going to happen quite quickly and quite easily. But there are still going to be those who are going to want to try and deny this information, and also to make these people look like they're disinformation, what do you call them, like people who don't know what they're talking about. But the vast majority of these people are people who are very like it's their careers, it's their life. It's like they've been in these places for 30, 40 years, and now they're experiencing things in a totally different way, and they're seeing things that they don't want to see, don't want to experience, and they need to tell somebody, they need to tell the world what is actually taking place here. So it's almost like the blinkers are going to be taken off, like the wall's going to be taken off of our eyes. You know, it's like people who know the truth are going to come forward. So Mercury will continue to trine Jupiter as he turns retrograde, and they will travel along in the sky together until the 10th of October, during which time many truths are going to be revealed, particularly around that date, as Mercury is at 15 degrees, Mars is at 16 degrees, and the Sun has just passed over the top of the Warrior and is at 17 degrees. So there's going to be a whole lineup. Mercury, Mars and the Sun all together in Libra. All about justice, fairness, harmony, balance. So all three of these energies, all three of these planets are going to be trining Jupiter as well. Also, while the Sun is square to Pluto, implying the death of the old and the birth of the new story, which will take us through to the new moon in Libra. What is missing at this time, and has been since the 30th of August, is the Saturn square Uranus connection, which had slowly been disconnecting as Saturn turned retrograde in May, followed by Uranus later in the year in August. Right now there is a 7-degree orb of difference between them, which is giving us a break from their challenging fixed energy going head to head. This will change as Saturn is due to station direct on the 11th of October and will reconnect with Uranus on the 19th of October, more of which I will speak about at a later date. But basically, again, it's going to be the old energy of Saturn versus the freedom, the new energy, the unknown energy of Uranus. So it's freedom versus restriction and control. So Venus at 11 degrees 35 minutes in Scorpio is plunging the depth of our emotional and sexual relationships. And at this time of this full moon in Pisces, she is opposing Uranus at 14 degrees 23 minutes, retrograde in Taurus, which means we can have very sudden, fast, unexpected changes in our love life, very likely at this time. There could be a need for more freedom or the desire to shock someone awake. If you feel like you have become part of the furniture and that you need something exciting and exhilarating to kind of move you out of that stuck, kind of entrenched energy in a relationship maybe, just be careful that you don't kind of do something that you might regret later, because that is also an option. But you may find that something kind of comes out of the blue, something exciting, something exhilarating, particularly for those who are single, have been single for quite some time. Something new may just suddenly come kind of out of left field, totally unexpected. And it may not last for very long, because this is Uranus energy that we're dealing with here. But it may be something that will just give you like a pickup, like some fun, like just something that will kind of get you out of that rut. So it may also push you into some new emotional territory, or it could also push you into a new actual physical environment as well. And if it doesn't affect you personally in your love life, then you may find it will be sudden financial changes that could have you scratching your head, wondering where the heck that came from. We could also see lots of fluctuations and possible volatility within the global financial markets in general at this time, which will have a major knock-on effect, both individually and collectively. And that is a definite possibility at this time. So just keep an eye on the finances, because things could change very, very, very quickly here with Uranus in Taurus opposing Venus in Scorpio. So the Sabian symbols for this 28 degrees of Pisces is a fertile garden under the full moon, reveals a variety of full-grown vegetables. So kind of about diversity and it's saying the keynote is the full satisfaction of the individual's basic needs. So in some ways it's also for me implying as well that, you know, a garden is filled up with lots of different things. Because it is talking about a garden, it's not talking about a field where you may just have one particular crop. This is talking about somebody's garden where they have planted lots of kind of different things, and saying that, you know, we need lots of different things to be in our lives, to satisfy us, to kind of, like it says, you know, to help our basic needs, to give us everything we need. We can't get everything we need from just one thing, is kind of what I'm trying to say here. So this symbol would seem a duplication of the preceding one. I have no idea what that one is. So, but if it is related to the first of this five-fold series, its meaning becomes clear. What is stressed now is not the full moon itself or its light, but the moon's power to call forth the instinctive urge for growth. Many things respond in many different ways. The symbol refers to a typical garden, not to a field. Such a garden contains a variety of plants, herbs and vegetables grown specifically to fill an equal variety of human needs and tastes. Which is kind of saying that, you know, we do need all of these different, as I was saying, all these different things. And at this time there is this kind of push for everything to kind of become the same, for everybody to think the same, to act the same, to be the same, which is this very Aquarian hive mind kind of energy that we are lower, the lower vibrational energy of Aquarius, because Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn as well as Uranus. So in this sense, the third symbol of this 72nd sequence combines the meanings of the first two. It is a symbol of abundance, an abundance fitted to individualized requirements and wants. And so the 28th degree of Virgo is a bald-headed man who has seized power. And it says the keynote here is the sheer power of personality in times that call for decision. So that's interesting, because both of these are kind of talking about power. And one of the main things of Pluto is power as well. And Pluto is really emphasized at this time. So that is also talking about personal power as well, like our own personal power, not just listening to other people's idea of having power over us. It's kind of literally asking us to question. So whether at the religious or at the socio-political and cultural level, there comes a time when obsolescent patterns of order and cultural refinement have to be radically and relentlessly challenged. Catabolic personages emerge to seize power and dictate decisions that alter the structures of society or within an individual life. An intense urge for cathartic changes mobilizes the will and traumatic decisions are made. At such times, the issue has to be met, and ruthless as the power may appear, it must be accepted. And so at this third stage of the 36th sequence, we face the unpostponable necessity for decision and transformation. Existence is motion. No static formation, however beautiful and inspiring, can remain long unchallenged. Everything bows to the power of the will, divine, executively human, or satanic. And that is literally the last three words there: divine, executively human, or satanic. Which is very interesting, because I think that is kind of where we are at this time. And I've only just noticed as well the power of the will, again that Pluto energy, and what I literally named the reading just before I came on to do the video was, and I hadn't actually taken much notice of this, was as you know, kind of all about self-will, free will, if you like. The will to choose is really what it's about. So I'm going to leave that part of the reading of the zodiac astrological reading itself. I have this weekend been away. It was my daughter's hen weekend, so my head is a little bit furry and blurry still. So the whole astrology thing was kind of finished in a bit of a hurry as well, so there may be things that I've not put into it this time, which I possibly could have done. but I wanted to get it out here, so I'm just going to pull some reflection cards by Julie Soskin, Channeled Energy, and see what comes out for us at this time. The Pisces full moon energy, which is very powerful, intense, sensitive energy. So let's see. Got a few here. It says, you know the truth, hold fast to it. Keeping silent in cooperation with the God force, with the cosmos, and with all. And truth is going to be something that there's going to be a lot coming out. So there is no one thing to do. There is no single Messiah to follow. There is only you and your light. What else do we have here? Fear has always been your greatest enemy. And yet fear has helped you, because through your fears you have journeyed far. Fear can certainly move, get things done, get things moved, but it can also paralyze as well. So time was created out of the necessity for physical experience. Time does not exist in the reality of light. Again, that's a very Saturn energy, time. I'm sorry about the brightness. I don't know why it's so bright, because that light's quite low. You will be attracted to those who need and feel they can be helped to move forward by you. So kind of soul family as well. Which is another kind of Piscean thing as well, the kind of soul energy, the spiritual kind of connecting with somebody on that level. So trust is the knowing, the absorption, the communion with the consciousness of light. I'm trying to find the best. Doesn't really work very well. Maybe if I do that a bit away from that light, it's slightly better. So let's see what we get with the World Offering, and then I'm going to finish the reading and say thank you very much for listening, taking your time to be here. I do really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed my video, please could you like it for me, thumbs it up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you again to those of you who have liked my videos, and to those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I really do appreciate it a lot, because it's really helping me to grow and get my message out there, which is what I'm trying to do at this time, this important time. So we have challenges, which is saying unbearable situations throw you directly into God's arms if you are open. Please take over, Divine, and guide the right actions. Please take this burden and show me your will. And there is a lot of challenges at this time in our lives as well. And the Pisces energy is about kind of surrendering to that, surrendering to the bigger, greater, divine source energy, of not trying to force a situation if it's not meant to be, and allowing ourselves to let go and release that as well. So that's where I'm going to finish the reading, and again say thank you very much. Wishing you all the best for this Piscean full moon, and also for the autumn equinox. I hope you have a wonderful time for the autumn equinox as we move into this autumn season, and I will hopefully see you all again soon. Please take really good care.